On this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about holding the mitts in boxing. Whether you're a beginner or you've been doing this for some time, there will be something on this video that will help you. And as you can see by the bar across the bottom, I've divided this video up into different sections. So no matter what part of your mitt work you want to work on, you can go to that part of the video. But I do recommend you go through it all step by step because there's lots of great information on each part of this video that I guarantee will help you. And I've worked with some of the best boxing trainers in the world leading up to winning my Olympic medal. I've also traveled the world teaching thousands of people how to hold the mitts for Boxing for Fitness with me certification course. So I really do know the right way and the wrong way of doing this. And if you're holding the mitts the wrong way, it can really kill the session for the person who's in front of you if you're not doing it correctly. Now, before we get into it, I recommend you share this video with yourself via email. So every time you want to sharpen yourself up on the mitts, you can watch this video, go to the part of the video that you want to work on it and get perfect at holding the mitts. Okay, let's get into it. Now it's time to get into the 4 main principles of holding the mitts that's very important that you understand. The first one is your stance. If your boxer is orthodox, which means they've got their left foot forward, you always want to mirror that stance with your left foot forward here. So I'm standing in the orthodox stance as well. If your boxer was southpaw with their right foot forward, I'm going to mirror that stance and I'm going to stand with my right foot forward as well. Now, the reason why we do this is we always want to be catching their left hand on our left hand, their right hand on our right hand. So if I was to switch my stance and stand as a southpaw and he throws his left hand to my left hand, jab, see, it's too far away. And his right hand to my right hand, it's too close. But when I stand in the same stance as my boxer now, jab, it's the perfect distance, right hand. That's why we want to mirror that stance all the time. Now, there is times when you wouldn't mirror the stance. Let's just say if he was training for a fight and he was fighting a southpaw, I would then stand in front of him in my southpaw stance for him to get used to being in front of a southpaw. But right now, we're just talking about the basics. So you want to be always mirroring their stance. Now, moving on to principle number 2 is the positioning of the mitts. This is very important for him to have the best experience. I don't want to have my mitts up here too high like this, or the same. I don't want to have them too low down here. Or the most common one is when I see people with the mitts this wide. Now, no one's got a head this big, so you don't have the mitts this wide here because that's going to mean his punches are going side to side. Instead, you want to have your mitts around the shoulder height or a little bit higher than your boxer with your elbows in here, and you want to have the target as small as possible. Now, you don't want to have them in front of your face like this because when you get hit, it's going to come back and hit you in the face. So you want to have that little gap in between here so you can catch the mitts great there. Now, one analogy that I like to give is if you think of a ball in front of you, like a basketball, you want to have them there just touching the basketball. And when you're doing the hooks around the side of that basketball. We never want to get too wide like this, or it's just going to make the experience bad for them, and there's more chance that you could get injured. Now, if I'm in there with someone who's taller than me, I don't want to have my mitts this height because he's going to be punching down, right? So instead, what I want to do, I want to keep my elbows in and raise my mitts like this. This is going to give him the right amount of resistance, and it's going to help me from getting injured if I was holding my mitts for someone taller than us and I was like this. So keep your elbows in and bring your arms up. Now, on the reverse of that, if I was in there with someone smaller than me, I don't want to put my mitts down like this because he's going to hit the top of the mitts. And if he hits the top of the mitts and it's in this position here, that, my friend, is going to do some damage to my wrists. Instead, if he was smaller than me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to widen my stance here, which has made me drop about 8 inches. Then I'm going to bend my knees, put my hands down. He's smaller, so here, 1, 2, 1, 2. And now, because I'm down low like this is going to really help it feel better for the person in front of me. So always remember that if you're in there with someone smaller than you. Now, moving on to principle number 3, which is the hardest thing for you to learn, but also the most rewarding thing for your boxer when you get this right. And that is your resistance of holding the mitts. If I've got too much resistance and he throws a jab and I'm like this, and I'm slamming that hand in there, that's going to hurt his hand. And as well, when I see people do this, it's not giving him a chance to fully extend it. Now, the opposite of that is if I haven't got enough resistance and my hands are just weak like this, and he throws a 1, 2, this feels terrible for him because he doesn't even feel like he's punching anything. Now, you need to have the right amount of resistance where you're catching the punches and you're strong and it feels good for the person who's in front of you. So if I call a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, you can see I'm coming forward here, 1, 2, giving that perfect resistance that makes it feel great for my boxer. Now, principle number 4 is the timing of your calls. I'll see people holding the mitt sometimes, and they'll be here. They'll put their hands down, and then they'll see a 1, 2, and then put the hands up, and then they'll put the hands down. Now, the problem is, if I'm here in front of him, and I see 1, 2, but if he was a novice boxer, which he's not, he would probably throw them punches because he's heard me tell him what to throw. So what you want to do, you want to have your mitts lower in front of you here, and then what you're going to do, you're going to show the mitts, then call the punches, then drop the mitts. So I'll be here, 1, 2, then I've dropped them. 1, 2, then I've dropped them. Now, another big mistake I see when people are holding the mitts, they'll do this. 1, 2. See what I did there? I put one hand up and I called a 1, 2. And then I'm meeting this one after. You don't want to do that because it just feels awkward if I've got one hand up and I'm calling a 1, 2. Now, the fighter thinks, well, I need to throw the 2 punches on there, or where's the 2? Or is the 2 going to be coming? Or have I got to throw it slower? So instead, you want to have the target there, 1, 2, pop, and then bring them down. Now, them 4 principles take time, but when you master them, that will just help you become a way better trainer. Now let's move on to the catching the basic punches. The first punch we're going to work on is the jab, the straight left hand. Now, when we catch this, I'm going to put my back hand down, my right hand, because he's going to be throwing his left hand. I'm going to put my left hand up, and then I'm going to say jab, jab. Then he's going to throw it, jab. So as you're seeing there, I put it up and call the jab, jab, jab. Now, the reason why I'm keeping this one down is if I said to him, jab, now he's going to see the 2 punches, and sometimes when you're working with beginners, they will throw them 2 punches. You're not expecting that 2. You've got no resistance in it. It can hurt your elbow straight away. So you always want to have the hand that's not catching down on your stomach. Then you're going to put your other hand up and call a punch, jab, and then I'm putting it straight back down rather than saying jab and keeping it up. Because if they don't know what they're doing, they're going to keep throwing them punches. Now, that's the jab. So now we're going to work on catching the 2. This is his right hand, his power punch. When I'm doing this, it's important that I give him a little bit more resistance because I know this is where he can punch hard. So I'm going to keep the mitts down. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to call for the 2. He's going to throw that punch, and I'm going to drop the mitt there. So we're here, 2, and I've dropped it. 2, 2. Now you can hear the sound of that punch. It sounds great, and that's because he's hitting it clean when he's throwing that punch, and the resistance is perfect. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is when your boxer is throwing these punches, you want them to hit the mitt right in the middle. Because if he hits it on the side, this will happen. 2, it's going to come off the side. It can damage the side of his hand, and as well, it just doesn't feel clean. So when they're hitting in the center of the mitt every time, that's going to feel better for your boxer. And one more thing is, you see, I've got my lead hand down at my body here. I'm going to raise this up, and then he's going to throw it. 2, and I'm giving them that perfect resistance. Now let's put them 2 punches together and work on the 1, 2. Now with this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the mitts down, like we just did on the jab and the cross, and I'm going to show him them. As I'm showing him them, I'm going to call that 1, 2. He's going to know to throw that 1, 2. So I'm here, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm catching the 1 followed by the 2, and I'm giving resistance for both. When people are learning how to hold the mitts, it's around about here where people, when they're new to this, will kind of forget about the resistance in their second punch. It's normally like a strong 1 and a weak 2, or a weak 1 and a strong 2. We want to be strong for both of these punches. 1, 2, and I'm putting them down. 1, 2, just like that. We want that target realistic, where we're here, right in front of our guy. We don't want to open it up here. As soon as you start opening your arms here, that means your boxer is going to start punching to the side, 1, 2. And when he starts punching to the side like that, it makes the target unrealistic. Just think, if I'm punching across here like this, I'm obviously not getting great accuracy in them punches, but also, if I throw a punch over there, that means the powers went down there somewhere. We want the power to go straight down the middle. Bah, bah. So we want our boxers to punch as straight as we can, so we need to keep our mitt target as small as we can together here. Now let's move on to the lead hook. When we're doing this, it's always better to catch the lead hook after the 1, 2 if you're working with a beginner. There is more advanced ways of stepping and throwing that lead hook and catching the lead hook on its own, which we're going to talk about when we get onto the advanced section of this video. But for now, when practicing catching this as a beginner, you always want to have your boxer throw the 1-2 and then the hook. Because when they throw that 1-2, it's putting them in the perfect position to throw that hook. But also for you as the coach, it's going to help you catch that hook because you've caught that nice 1-2 first. So, like I said, we've got that basketball area there. All we're going to do, we're going to catch the 1, then the 2. As we're catching that 2, your lead hand's going to come down around the side of that basketball if you think there's a basketball in front of you. And that's where he's going to throw that hook and you're going to turn into it just a little bit to help with that resistance. So we'll start slow with a 1-2 hook. 1-2 hook. 1-2 hook. As you see, I'm just doing here, small movements, 1-2 hook. And it's around here when I'm teaching people what they normally do when they're new to holding the mitts. They'll do this, 1-2 hook. 1-2 hook. Really swing that lead hook in. Now, you're not throwing a hook. You don't have to bring your arm all the way out. You need to keep nice and compact. Ba, ba, ba. Here, 1-2 hook. 1-2 hook. You want the sound of these punches to be not. Right? We want to get that nice rhythm. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Not ba, ba, ba. Again, here it is. 1-2 hook. 1-2 hook. Ba, ba, ba. 1-2 hook. Da, da, da. Yeah, you heard that. Nice and clean. So now with them 3 basic punches there we've just worked on, we can start to do lots of different combination punches with them. And that's what we're going to work on right now. Some basic combinations when holding the mitts. Now, before we work on the basic combinations, I just want to add in a defensive move that I love to teach, especially with beginners. And this is the roll. R-O-L-L. I've got to spell it across from the accent. The roll. So when my boxer's in front of us, I'm going to call a 1-2 roll. And my boxer's going to throw that 1-2, followed by a roll. He's going to be rolling to his right out of the way of my left hand. And he's going to go down, round and up like the letter U. And slowly it'll look like this. My hands are down. 1-2 roll. 1-2 roll. When you're having your boxer roll out the way of your punch, it's important that when you're doing this, you're aiming for his head. You don't want to do it like this, which I see people doing because they're so afraid of hitting them. 1-2 roll. 1-2 roll. That's just giving him a disservice and it's not making him actually roll out the way of a punch, which we are trying to get him to do. That being said, we never want to hit the person in front of us if we're teaching someone for fitness. If it's a boxer, for example, and you're training them for a fight, then this might be a little bit different. He's got to learn how to roll. But again, even then, you want to be careful with a hard mitt. So you always want to be aware, he might not hear me say the roll. We might be in the gym with loud music. He might not understand what the roll is. So we've always got to be aware, if he doesn't roll, 1-2 roll, I've got to be able to stop this before it gets there and, hits him in the head until we get on the same page. Then when we get on the same page, you can start doing the 1-2 roll. Now, once we've done that, we can come back with a counter punch, which the perfect counter punch to throw after a 1-2 roll is a 2, because when you're rolling correctly, you're putting the weight on your back foot and throwing in that 2. And on our boxing fitness certification course, we dive deep into how to box and how to teach clients how to box, so they'll learn this very smoothly. So when we do it slowly, we're going to call a 1-2 roll 2. 1-2 roll 2. We can speed it up. 1-2 roll 2. Now we can add on to that to make this combination even better. We're going to do a 1-2 roll 2, hook 2. Because after you throw that 2, you're in the perfect position to throw that hook 2. So the combo is 1-2 roll 2, hook 2. Ready? 1-2 roll 2, hook 2. 1-2 roll 2, hook 2. That's a great basic combination for you to work on with a beginner or even an advanced elite boxer, because it's a realistic combination. So now my boxer knows every time I call roll, I want a 2 hook 2 at the end. This is going to make it easier for me to call the punches and also easier for my boxer to understand what's coming next. And also, it's more realistic, because in a real fight scenario, you don't have your coach telling you exactly what punches to throw every time you throw them. So it's going to just be better for everything. So now, if I just see a 1-2 roll, he knows he's going to come back with a 2 hook 2. 1-2 roll. 1-2 roll. So getting used to doing that, and then you can start mixing your combinations up and adding that roll on. Now, another basic combination that you can do before we get into the advanced stuff is a 1-2 hook 2 hook 2. So with this combination, we're going to start off slow with a 1-2 hook 2 hook 2, 1-2 hook 2 hook 2. A little bit faster, 1-2 hook 2 hook 2. And all I'm doing with my mitts is putting them here, 1-2 hook 2 hook 2. Simple, but for your boxer, this is going to make them feel great if you've got the right resistance and timing, and also it's going to make them look great as well. So again, 1-2 hook 2 hook 2. 1-2 hook 2 hook 2. Basic combination. Before we get into the advanced stuff, there's one thing that I want to add on to these basic combinations is if you get your boxer to get used to throwing a 2 hook 2 after every time they roll, like we just did, so 1-2 roll, 2 hook 2. Now what we can do, I can add the roll on the end. So he knows that he's going to come back with a 2 hook 2. So all I'm going to say is 1-2 hook 2 hook 2 roll. He knows he's going to come back with a 2 hook 2 at the end of that roll. So it's going to be a 1-2 hook 2 hook 2 roll. Makes it much easier for your boxer because he's got used to rolling and come back with them punches. Okay, now we're going to get on to some movement stuff before we get on to the nice advanced stuff which you're going to love. So when we're moving with this, we want to keep in our same boxing stance as our boxer. I'm orthodox, he's orthodox. So when we're moving, we want the boxer to be the person who judges the distance. So if I say a 1-2, and I move back here, he's got to come forward, right? If I see a 1-2, and I move forward, he's got to move back. So he's the person that is judging the distance. Now, as you've seen there, what I did, I caught the punches, 1-2, then I step forward, 1-2, then I step back. What you shouldn't do, unless you're doing some real advanced stuff, is this, 1-2, is moving and calling the punches at the same time. It's way harder for your boxer, especially as a beginner, to be able to throw them nice, solid, clean punches. So instead, what you would do is I would move, he's moving, I'm going to plant my feet and then call the punches. 1-2. 1-2. Nice. So now we've moved forwards and backwards. Then you can start moving left to right and round like a real fight scenario. So we'll be here, 1-2, moving around. Now he's got to get that distance, not me. 1-2. 1-2 roll. 1-2. Now, there's a couple of things that I see on social media with coaches doing all the time, which I'm really not a fan of, and that is this. 1-2. See that? Or this. 1-2. Moving your boxer around like this. We don't have to do that. It's not realistic. Instead, let's make him think. So if I do a 1-2, I move back. He's got to think and move forward. If I do a jab, and I'm working into him, I can cut the ring down, move him, making him work, making his brain think, burning a ton of calories because now he's got to think that I'm coming for him. And then when we are moving, like this, I can step back, 1-2 hook 2. Making him work, making him think too. Yeah, like that. So, yeah, you don't want to tell your boxer to move and be guiding them along like this. We're not dancing. Not today, we're not dancing. So instead, yeah, let them do the thinking on the move. And that's the basic moving there. We're getting that advanced stuff in a little bit. So now it's time for the advanced punches, which you're going to love because people absolutely love throwing advanced punches, even if they're not at the level where they can throw them yet. When you do these things that I'm going to tell you on the mitts right now to catch these punches, especially with the combinations, you're going to absolutely love this part of the video. But before we talk about that, I just want to tell you about my boxing fitness certification course. This is where we don't just teach you how to teach boxing for fitness, but also how to have a career in teaching boxing for fitness. And we've traveled the world since 2015 teaching people how to do this, as well as teaching thousands of people on our online course, where we've really changed the lives of so many people who've done the course. Roderick here is one of our students that's done the course. Now he Tony is a full-time fitness professional here in the beautiful Rare Breed Gym in Melbourne, Australia. And there's been so many more people who's done the course. They've ended up packing their old jobs in, starting a career in teaching boxing for fitness, earning money to do this. And there's even people who's went on to open their own boxing fitness gym and really changed their lives. And also on our online course, we work with you personally every step of the way to make sure you have maximum success when you're taking this course. You can scan here, or you can go to boxingfitness.com/academy. The link is below, and see if this is right for you or not. And if it is, I can't wait to start working with you. Let's get on with the advanced punches. The first advanced punch that we're going to work on is an uppercut. And it looks like this. Uppercut. Uppercut. And as you're seeing there, an uppercut is a bent arm shot that's coming around and up the middle. If we were in a contest, if we're in a fight, it's going to be going up, trying to hit them on the chin right there. Now, as a pad holder, when I'm catching this punch, I want to keep my elbows tucked in tight and my back hand is just coming out. I'm going to turn my hips a little bit and I'm going to put some pressure down. Now, it's important when you're doing this, you're not going to be slamming down like this, which I've seen people do. I've worked with bad trainers in the past that's done that with me, and it kind of hurts your hand. So you never want to be slamming down. You want to get that right amount of resistance where you're just kind of bouncing your mitt off their hand. Again, it'll look like this. Uppercut. Uppercut. And that's the perfect amount of resistance right there. Another thing, what you don't want to be doing when you're doing this is this. Uppercut. Coming down from up there. Ridiculous. I've seen so many people do that. We don't want to do that. Remember, we've got that little ball area there. We're just coming to the bottom of that ball area. And when we start doing the advanced combinations in a minute, when we incorporate in this uppercut, it'll make a lot more sense. So that's it right there. And I call this the uppercut. That's what it is. Some people have got numbers for it. We might call it the number, what is it? 6. The number 6, yeah. I've never been a big fan of numbers because it confuses us, where it's like a 1, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 9. Like, these confuse me. So I like to call it uppercut what it is, which is just an uppercut. But if you use the number system, that's fine as well, whatever's comfortable for you. And then we want to work on the next advanced punch, which is my favorite punch in boxing. And this is the lead hook to the body. I just call this hook body, but a lot of people call this the rip, ripping the punch in there. Now, when I'm catching this punch, what I like to do is turn my mitt around and put it onto my stomach there in the perfect position where you want to be landing a lead hook to the body. If I'm in a fight here with Broderick, I want to be trying to hit him underneath there. That's the perfect position to, land that body shot. So that's where I want to have my mitt. I want to have my mitt right where he would land that body shot there. Now, another thing what I want to do, especially when I'm in there with a big puncher, I'll put my other mitt behind it there, which is going to help me with more resistance and strength, because some people can really whip this body shot in. And if you're too weak to catch it, it could hit you in the body, which we don't want. So again, I've bent this arm down. I'm putting this hand behind that hand to give it the extra strength and resistance that it needs. So when he throws in that hook the body, I can catch it perfect. The body. Again. Again. And I'm pushing down as that hook comes in. One more time there. Now, when we start working in the combinations, we do it a little bit different, which you're about to see. But first, I want to work on another advanced punch, and that is a cross to the body. When people are catching the cross to the body, a lot of people will put their hand down like this. Now, if I put my hand down like this, and he throws that, it's going to hurt my wrist, especially if he hits it at the top of there. It's going to really bend my wrist back. If that happens, I can't do mitt work anymore. Instead, what I like to do is put my hand on my stomach like this, tense my stomach up, and let him throw that punch to the back of my hand. Now, these mitts here, that's available at boxingfitness.com, they've got some padding in the back that will help absorb that a little bit. This padding in the back of these mitts is not for absorbing punches, but it's got there what will help a little bit. When you do this, you don't want your boxer to be really whacking in that body shot hard. So to prevent him from doing that, I will give him a jab first. So it'll be a jab, 2 to the body. And like this, jab, 2 to the body. Now, when he's throwing that 2 to the body, I'm tensing my abs on impact. Jab, 2 to the body. Jab, 2 to the body. Jab, 2 to the body. And I'm also leaning into it a little bit there, which helps feel better for him. It also helps me absorb that impact. So you want that on your stomach there like this. You don't want to be putting it here on your solar plexus, because that can still really hurt you, but instead on your body. And always tell your boxer, take it easy when you're throwing these punches at first, getting used to it, and then you can always up the intensity in a little bit. But again, this punch is not a whipping in power punch. If you want to whip in them power punches, the harder punches, you can always get a body bag to put on you, which is great. I'm going to do a video working all about the body bag later on this channel, giving you some different combinations you can throw when you're wearing a body shield, which is great. But for now, talking about the mitts, you can catch it like that. So now, before we move on to the combinations, I just want to talk about again, is if your boxer is leading off with a hook. I want to be in my boxing stance in front of him like this with my mitts here. Now, all I'm going to do is put this out in front of my face and see a hook. Now, because this is an advanced punch to throw, you want to make sure your boxer can do this, because if they're not an advanced boxer, it can make them feel pretty awkward, which if you're doing boxing for fitness and you're trying to earn a living teaching this, the last thing you want to do is make your client feel awkward. So you never want to be doing this. And this is something else that we talk about in our Boxing Fitness Academy, is the psychology behind teaching. So you make sure our clients come back again and again. But for now, let's just talk about this. So my hands are here. I'm going to put this out and see a hook. My boxer, who's experienced, will do a little step as he throws that to get the power in the punch. Hook. 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 And as you can see, I've got to meet him with that resistance. Because he's stepping with the punch, it's getting power in it. Hook. Hook. And then we can move on to the hook two, ba, ba, hook two, slip. We're going to get into advanced combinations in a second. But then, right there is some advanced punches for you to work on. Now, when you've got the basic punches down and the advanced punches down and the basic combinations down, this is just going to leave the floor open for you to throw as many advanced combinations and create as many advanced combinations as you like. So now it's time for your advanced combinations. With these advanced combinations, we're going to add in some new defensive moves, like the slip and the step back. So we're going to teach them before we teach them into the combinations. So first thing we're going to do is work on a slip. A slip is a defense from a straight punch. Let's just see, if you're going to throw a jab at me here, I'm going to slip and take my head off that center line there. If you're going to throw across, I'm slipping and I'm taking my head off that line. So this is a slip. Now, a great rule of thumb for teaching the slips is if he throws a left hand, after he's through that left hand, he's going to slip to his left. So a jab, he's in a perfect position to slip to his left after he's through that left hand. If he throws a right hand, he's in a perfect position to slip to his right. So two, he can slip to the right. And that's the same when we're doing the longer combinations. If he finishes on his left side, he's going to slip to the left. If he finishes on his right side, he's going to slip to his right. All I want to do with my boxer to make him move out the way of a slip is throw a straight punch at him. So for my boxer, I'm going to say 1, 2, slip. He's going to do the 1, 2. Then he's going to take his head off that line, and I'm going to throw the jab straight down the middle at his head. It's important that you do go straight down the middle. Common mistake I see here is 1, 2, slip. If I'm going over there, he doesn't even have to slip. This is giving him a disservice. I want to go straight down the middle. Again, like the roll, if he, for some reason, doesn't hear me, I always want to be aware that he might not slip, and I always want to pull it back, so I don't want to hit my client. I'm here, we're going to do a 1, 2, slip. 1, 2, slip. So I'm just throwing that jab straight forward. And if your boxer is slipping correctly, I'm touching his shoulder here as he's doing that. So 1, 2, slip. So that's him slipping out the way of a jab. Now if I want him to slip out the way of my right hand, remember what I said? He's going to do the jab slip, where he slips to his left. And I'm going to throw my right hand and hit his shoulder. Jab slip. Jab slip. Now we've done the single slips, now we can do a double slip. So now I'm going to call a 1, 2, slip, slip. He's going to slip to his right and his left. And it'll look like this. 1, 2, slip, slip. 1, 2, slip, slip. Now, as you can see, we're already starting to build up the combinations, making him feel good and look good, and also giving him some great boxing benefits, learning how to slip out the way of punches. First, the advanced combination, what we're going to do. We're going to do that 1, 2, slip, slip, hook 2. We'll do it slowly. 1, 2, slip, slip, hook 2. Now, because he's slipping to his right, then his left, he's loading up that left hand there, the left hook, right hand, boom. So again, 1, 2, slip, slip, hook 2, nice. So that's the perfect combination. Slipping to his right, slipping to his left, coming back with a left hook, right hand. That's a little bit advanced, but we want to get a lot more advanced, right? You want to learn some more fun, advanced combinations, right? So let's try this one. Now we're going to do a 1, 2, slip, slip, roll. So slowly, if he's here, 1, 2, slip, slip, roll. Remember, he knows what he's coming back with. After his roll, he's always going to be coming back with a 2, hook 2. So again, 1, 2, slip, slip, roll. Now, that's an advanced combination, right? Well, let's get a little bit more advanced than that. Let's add on to this combination. Now we're going to add a double jab 2 on the end. So it's going to be a 1-2 slip slip roll. He's going to already know he's going to come back with the 2 hook 2. As he's coming back with that 2, I'm going to call a double jab 2. Now when you're doing longer combinations like this, what's very important is that the timing of your call is perfect, is bang on. We don't want to time the call too early or too late. I'm going to do the 1-2 slip slip, and I'm going to break this down for you so it makes a lot more sense. And then when you're building your own combinations, it's going to be perfect for you. So 1-2 slip slip roll. He knows he's come out with a 2 hook 2. Now this time we'll do it again. As he's thrown that hook, I'm going to call a double jab 2. And when you're doing this, you've got to do it slowly until your boxer kind of knows it, and then we can really go advanced with the combinations that you're going to see in a little bit. 1-2 slip slip roll. Jab jab 2. We're going to do it again. This time I want you to see where we are when I call that double jab 2. So we're here. 1-2 slip slip roll. Jab jab 2. That was the perfect timing. I call that jab jab 2 as he's throwing that hook, and then he knows at the end of this combination he's going to be able to add on these other punches. And then from there, what we can do, we can start adding on more things. 1-2 slip slip roll. Jab jab 2 roll. Just added on that roll on the end, which added another defense and another 3 punches, because he already knows he's come back with that 2 hook 2 after he's done that roll. And just think about the other things that you can add on to this. You can continually to add on to these combinations. One thing I want to say before I show you some more advanced stuff is keep everything realistic. If you see his punches are realistic, and the Mittwork's not none of this Mayweather, like none of that stuff, right? We see too much of that stuff on Instagram where it's unrealistic long combinations. No, mate. I'm not a fan of that. I am a fan of these long combinations, what we've just been doing, because these are great for reactions, great for fitness, but also great for timing as well. If you are a fighter or if you're doing this for fitness, there's so many benefits to this as long as you're doing them the correct way. That other stuff, nah, mate, get out of here with that stuff. Let's move on to a next combination. This one, we're going to add in the uppercut and a defense called the step back, which is an easy defense, but it's probably the best defense. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a 1-2 step back uppercut. So it'll be a 1-2 step back uppercut. Now, if you think there, he's stepping back as a defense. I'm coming forward, and then he's going to throw uppercut. So 1-2 step back uppercut. 1-2 step back uppercut. So all I'm doing as the mitt holder is catching the 1-2, stepping forward with the hook as I've got my uppercut here, and then he's going to throw that punch in right there. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add on to that combination. After he's thrown that uppercut, he's going to throw a hook 2. So now the combination is 1-2 step back, uppercut, hook 2. So we're here, 1-2 step back, uppercut, hook 2. 1-2 step back, uppercut, hook 2. So what you should do when you're building long combinations with your boxer, you start to build a bond with them. If I say to my boxer 1-2 step back and I'm coming forward like this, he automatically knows that he's going to throw uppercut hook 2. So it's going to be less calling from me, calling the punches from me, and it's going to be more automatic reactions from him. So now if I see a 1-2 step back, he's going to know to come back with the uppercut hook 2. So it's here, 1-2 step back. Now, because my boxer knows when I see a roll, he's going to roll and come back with a 2 hook 2. Now we can advance this combination even more with saying less words. So we're going to be here, 1-2 step back, roll. Now we can add on even more. We've just done a roll 2 hook 2 with a 1-1-2 at the end of it. Now let's add that on and see how this goes. 1-2 step back, roll, 1-1-2. And be kind of building up the advanced combinations from there. And then I could add a slip on the end. And because I've built a bond with my boxer, he knows he's going to do a slip and come back with a hook 2 on the end. Then I could add another 1-1-2 on the end. Then we can continue to build on these combinations that we can create. And I challenge you to create realistic combinations when you're holding the mitts. So now let's merge in a slip with the uppercut, just to give you an idea of what this will look like. 1-2, slip, roll. Step back, roll, 1-1-2. Yeah, nice little 10-punch combo there. First time we've done this since Broderick done our course a few years ago, but it comes second nature to him now because he's got experience at holding the mitts. Now he can do it when he's punching the mitts as well. So what's next? Well, we've got 3 things here that you should do next. The first thing is keep practicing these, but when you're practicing them, make sure you practice slow. When you're doing the long combinations, split them combinations up into different parts. So it'll be a 1, 2, slip, slip, hook, 2. When you get comfortable doing that, then you can add a roll on the end. When you get comfortable doing that, then you can add a jab, jab, 2 on the end, and then so on. And that's how you make a long combination. So practice slowly until you get there. The next thing I recommend you do is check out boxingfitness.com and see our online certification course where we teach you how to have success in doing this and making money from teaching boxing for fitness. It can be an absolute game changer in your life, and we work with you personally every step of the way. And the third thing that you can do is click here and learn how to box correctly, because if you can box correctly, it'll just make it easier for you to teach boxing correctly.